Hello, Giants fans. Welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. The Giants lost to the Phillies 10-4 yesterday, and it really just does seem, just after the past several games, that the Giants roster is just not well-rounded enough to win games, and they're really just seeing the effects of what they didn't do at the trade deadline. I knew this would happen at some point, and now I think we're just seeing the effects of their terrible performance at the trade deadline just playing out right now. They still have talents in both pitching and hitting, and defense too, on the high end of their roster, but they just can't get it consistently from everybody. Yesterday, Jock Peterson hit a solo home run to put the Giants ahead 1-0 in the top of the first, but the Phillies tied it against Scott Alexander. After that, Sean Manaea came in and he allowed 2 runs in the bottom of the second. Lamont Wade Jr. homered in the top of the third to get one of them back and kept the Giants' deficit to 3-2. But the Phillies scored again against Manaea in the bottom of the third, and after Manaea was pulled from the game, Hjelle came in, and it was just bad there. 6 runs scored against him as he went 4 2/3 innings. So it's pretty evident. I'll just interject here and say it is pretty evident that Hjelle is not fully developed. Whatever kind of a prospect he may be in the future, he is not fully developed right now as a big league player. And I mean, he might have been kind of okay last September when he came up and pitched nearly every time behind an opener. But right now, it's just he wasn't able to hold the game for the Giants to give them a chance to come back, and that's, although I do think that it's likely the Giants were planning to put Hjelle in for multi-innings no matter what happens, especially considering that their deficit was only 4-2 when they initially put Hjelle into the game. So I think even at the start, it's likely that they were planning to have him pitch multiple innings in this game, or at least keeping him as a likely to be used option. Although Manaea would very likely have been asked to go longer had he pitched effectively. But it's just all of that to say Hjelle really isn't ready to be in the big leagues, I don't think. And his ERA is over 800, although a lot of that does come from this outing. I still think it is spread out over a wider array of games. So he's definitely got some developmental work to do before he can be trusted for any more serious action with the Giants. The Giants did get a rally going in the 9th when it was way too late to come back. They were behind 10-2. They loaded the bases, and Johan Camargo, who has recently, he actually played for the Phillies this year, and then he was, I guess he was released or whatever, either released or just put on waivers, not claimed, and the Giants signed him to a minor league contract. They called him up after just 2 games in AAA. And yesterday, with the bases loaded, he was hit by a pitch to bring in a run, and then Blake Sable singled to bring in another run. And it's just one of those situations in the 9th where, you got something going, and if there's any chance you might come back, you want to do it. But I mean, just remember that they were behind by 8 runs when it all started, so it was they kind of got things going with the bats a bit there, but it was just when it was too late to save the game. And I mean, the fact too that Hjelle stayed in for as long as he did, long enough to give up 6 runs, it's likely that at some point, and I don't know exactly when, but it's likely that at some point Gabe Kapler realized the Giants probably weren't going to win that game, and that it was maybe beneficial for them just to rest the bullpen and have a mop-up man do it, which is why he just let Hjelle work through his struggles. I just think at some point in the game, he probably realized that. So this was a pretty significant loss for the Giants because they are battling the Phillies for the 3rd National League wild card spot. And I mean, whatever wild card spot they're in, it's going to be the same for them that they have to play a 3-game series. It's just, it would be nice if they could play a weaker opponent, right? And it's just, all of these games should be kind of played with a more increasing playoff mindset. And I'm sure that's what the Giants are doing here, but they just lost a series to the Braves, and now they lost this first game here against the Phillies, and it's just not looking good. And that being said, though, the Giants' record is still 65 wins and 60 losses, so it's not like they're being pushed to a point where they couldn't come back. I think just all of the discouragement of the Giants losing every series for the last over 2 weeks now, I think we still have to realize that they have a winning record, and if they can just get back to what they were before this year on a hot streak, that's it could change things really fast and really keep them high in this wild card race. But last year, it just, the final couple of months for the season were just, they were just defined by falling off for the Giants. I mean, last year the Giants did have a hot streak in August that made everybody think they could, even then, be playoff contenders. But just in general, it was all about falling off and falling out of it. And it's got to be different this year. I'm seeing something of a repeat pattern, and that's what has to be changed. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also, please leave your questions and comments. You know where to do it. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.